It has been a while since I've been in front of the camera. And you're probably wondering why we're looking at Tegel. Because we walked away from this one like 2 months ago, thereabouts. Yeah, I think about 2 months ago. But this will be a nice journey back into something that we worked on, obviously, for the last year, right? And then we worked really hard in June and July to get this complete. And it is complete, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful map. I've had such a huge, great time with this map. I mean, we were streaming this constantly, and we were just having so much fun. I mean, there's so much detail on this map, and we did it together. You know, this map is gotta be one of my favorites ever. So why have I got this up on the screen? Because it's done, right? Well, we're going to do two things today. And then we'll talk about what I've been doing and what we're going to be doing in the future. First and foremost, I just got back from Rikadon. That was my first time going there, and it was fantastic. And at some point I want to tell you all about it, but maybe not today. But I want to show you the miniatures that I picked up. I want to show you the scale 75 miniatures that I picked up, and the busts and things that I'm going to be painting. We're gonna be getting into some streaming on Friday evenings for Whiskey and Paint, because I think I finally figured out the hardware that I want to use for that one. So that's all. That's what I've been doing, and that's why I've not been streaming. I was hoping that I was going to be able to stream while I was there, but it's kind of a little bit obnoxious to sit down at someone's table or like someone's class and stream. So I wanted to be nice and like not do that. So maybe in the future, maybe at other times. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing, and that's why I have been streaming for this last week. And so, but while I was there, hung out with the frogs, sat down with Zach Glazer, and they were having some difficulty cutting up Tegel for printing on basically 4 pieces of canvas. She says, holding up 3 fingers. 4 pieces of canvas for the big, huge, like 12 by 12 map, right? The battle map scale is 12 by 12. And they did a prototype. I mean, they've done a couple of prototypes. They did a prototype and they brought it to the convention. We looked at it together. There were some problems with it. So I sat down with Zach and we decided a new strategy for cutting this thing up. And so what I'm going to do this for him. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it will work. So I have Tegel in front of me, and the first thing that we're going to do on the stream today is we're going to cut this sucker up and we're going to lay it out in a template, but we've got to do it so there's overlapping pieces. That's the main thing. Demille, hello! I am finally live. I've been at Rikadon, girl. Yeah, so that's where I've been. I've been there for the last week. So we're going to cut up Tegel, we're going to get it into the template, and we're going to get it to a point where the pieces overlap. That's the main thing. Not butt up against each other, because with bleed and everything, it just gets screwed up. So I've been playing around with Tegel a little bit to kind of get it ready for the template. I'm working off a flattened file here right now. And I've got a template that Zach and I created over the weekend together. And the first part of this, hopefully it's only going to take about an hour or so. And then later on in the stream, we're going to work on Rikadon for Zagora Games, and we're going to get into drawing a town map. And Rikadon is going to be the focus for the next couple of weeks, okay? Rikadon, colouring Keystone Reforged, and I got another colouring for Two King Games? I think that's what they're called. So, that's what we're doing. Let's get this one done. And the reason why I don't mind doing this on stream, so we get to do it together again. We get to enjoy it again. I mean, I zoom in on this, and I just start having all of these little memories about when we were working on this together. I remember culling with that shield, I mean, this is a great map. I love looking at this map. So, working on this together. Let's get this sucker cut up. Dungeon Tomb is in the house! Dungeon Tomb. How big is this file? What size is the DPI? Blah 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 blah. Okay, so look. First and foremost, I'm cutting this up today. I'm interrupting my normal stream to cut this up. And I'm doing it live with you guys so we can all hang out together. But questions like that I answered back while we were doing this map, right? We've been on this map for the last year. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, okay? This map is 600 DPI, okay? And it prints at 12 by 12. I've answered that question before. It's 12 feet by 12 feet. It's freaking huge. This is a flattened version of it right now. And it's 600 DPI, or it should be thereabouts. And we're gonna do whatever. Anyway, so this is the template that we've got, and it's going to be a little hard to see. You know, maybe we'll change our guides here. Let's edit our preferences. Let's make our guides black so we can actually see what's going on. I don't normally change my guides. I'm not sure which section it's actually on, because I normally just leave them blue. Units and rulers, colors, guides, grids, and slices. Alright, guides. Yeah, we kind of like just got this cyan going on here. Let's change them to black. There we go. Alright. So you can see where we've actually got to lay this sucker out. So to explain this to you for a moment. What are we looking at here? Alright. So, let me zoom out just for a moment. Yeah, we could do it with this. Let's get a nice big brush. Okay, so let me explain this. Tegel Manor is 12 feet by 12 feet. And there isn't a printing service out there that could do 12 feet by 12 feet of a single piece of canvas. But what they can do is these smaller sections of like, what would it be, 6 by 6, right? So we've got 12. We've got 12. Let's turn those guys off. We've got 12. And we have to get Tegel Manor on here and then cut it on these lines, right? The problem is we want bleed. We want shit to overlap. So what that means is I need to basically create some guides here, create some guides here, and piece 1, and you'll see we've got like bleeds coming off here. Piece 1, let's call this number 1 here. And you're going to see why I'm calling it number 1. Number 1 has got to actually be this big. Bigger than just this inner line. Then piece number 2 here has actually got to come out to here. And out to there. Then piece number 3 is actually going to be down here and up to here. And then that way, they can overlap. These cloth pieces can overlap, right? And then obviously piece number 4 here is going to be out here, like so. And then each individual dimension, I don't know if you can actually see this. Each individual piece, I think it's like, we've got 72 inches by, 74 inches or something like that. That's basically how each piece ends up. So we got to get some guides on this sucker. Alright. So now, what's the best way of doing this? What is the best way of doing this? 69 by 70. Let's just make some notes for ourselves here. Hold on a sec. Let's move that up there. Let's make some notes to make this clear in our heads. So our print size is 69 by 70. With bleed, that's 71 by 72. We got an inch each side, right? 72. I did the 24. How did my brain do that? That was weird. 71 by 72. That's weird, man. That's so weird. All right. Which means basically from here to here, the internal of that is 70. And then, no, that's 72. And it comes through to the edge there. See, Zach and I created this template together. But Zach did not upload it to our project folder, so I've got to recreate this now. Zach Glazer. Alright, so let's create our guides. I think what I'm gonna do... Alright, I want to offset on this guide here. That guide should be at the 72 mark. So I want to actually put a guide. If I'm going to do 2 inches either way, we're going to do 72. So we're going to do... Got math right. You're doing the stream for math. So if that is at 72... Are these in inches? Let's move this little puppy so we can see what's going on. Dungeon 2, you can ask whatever you want, my friend. But I'm gonna be really clear. This is something that I didn't want to be working on. Okay? This is something I didn't anticipate I would be working on today. Period. So I'm a little grouchy about it. And I just want to get it done fast, man. I'm sitting there cutting up my map. And this is not what I normally do. I'm volunteering my time for this one. And I don't want to be doing it, you know? And I sat down with Zach and we came up with the actual template to use. And the template's not in the project folder. So now I'm recreating the template that I already did Saturday night. So I'm grouchy. But feel free to ask what you want. I just don't want to be working on this project right now. And I've got to get the measurements right. And so, and part of this is, everything I'm about to say, I have already said 72 hours ago at ReaperCon. And then, so I'm rehashing all of the math, all of my calculations and everything, and I'm redoing it, and that pisses me off, man. That pisses me off. It's not your fault, but it pisses me off. Alright, the overall bleed is going to be 144 this direction, which puts our halfway mark at 72, right? So this here should be at the 72, and I'm not convinced it is. Maybe it is. I'm not convinced it is. I missed you too, Demille. I missed streaming. I really did. It says inches. It says inches. You see, I think we're 72 this direction. I think this line is at 72. Alright, so the way that this template has been done, I didn't do this template, I'm trying to reverse engineer, is we've got 144 in that direction. If you can see the rulers, that's what it looks like. And we've got 142 going in this direction. Alright, that's fine, that's good, that's good. Doing math on Twitch stream is not what I wanted to be doing today. I wanted to be drawing little buildings. I wanted to be colouring Keystone Reforged. That's what I wanted to be doing. But let's get this knocked out, because that's what we do, right? Alright, so if we've got 144 each direction, then this means that this line here is at 72. Are we all in agreement? And if I want 2 inches of overlap, that means I need a guide at 70 and I need a guide at 74. Right? I'm going to be grumpy for at least an hour. Alright, let's do guides. How do you do guides in Photoshop? I never do guides in Photoshop. How do you do guides in Photoshop? Can I, like, just click on this and... No? How do I add a guide in Photoshop? I mean, I know I can drag in from the outside edge, but there's a way of actually... Thank you, Dungeon Toon, for the cheer. That cheered me up a little bit. Look at that. The cheer cheered me up. How do I add guides? Come on, someone out there must know how I add a guide. New guide, there it is. Alright. New guide. On the vertical, 70. Let's see if this works. If this works, I'll be a happy camper. Awesome. Alright. Let's add a new guide. Now it's 74, right? Those are going to be our cut lines. In other words, a piece of Tegel, like if this is the southwest part of Tegel, this is obviously the northwest, this is the northeast, this is the southeast. The southeast quadrant is literally going to be from this corner to this corner, down to the bottom corner, down to this corner. And then that gives us all of this as an overlap with its neighbor right next door, right? So that's that way. So then the other direction, this line here is at 71, right? Yeah, it's at 71. So this is at 71, and if we want, let's say 2 inches again of overlap, that means we need 69 as a guide and 73 as a guide, right? So let's do it. View, new guide, 69. Theoretically, once... Oh, no, not on the vertical, not on the vertical. Theoretically, once we've got our guides in place, we feel good with them. Theoretically, this should go reasonably quick-ish. So new guide on the horizontal, 69. New guide on the horizontal, 73. Zombie dance team leaders in the house. Hi, Zombie. Zombie, we're doing like a weird thing right now. Like, you're looking at this screen going, what the actual is she doing? You will see, sir. Alright, so we've got our center lines where we're going to cut. We've got our vertical lines where we're going to cut. We've got our outside bleed marked off. Let me think about this for a moment. So if... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a big, huge eraser here. We're going to get rid of some of our markings here. And we're going to make sure that we've got our calculations right, okay? Alright. So our... With bleed, the maximum size that Tegel can be printed at is right there on the screen. 71 by 72. From here to here is 72. Which means we can't actually do a bleed out to here. Because that would be 74. They can't print 74. They can't print 74. We can't... So let me think about this. So that means that piece number 1 here, right? If we wanted to overlap with piece number 2, so we're going to come out to here. Right, so this piece number 1 kind of is this width to goes to there. And piece number... But then that ends up being 74 inches wide. This is breaking my brain, man. This is breaking my brain. Come here. Should have known better than to think that this was going to be straightforward effort. Seventy-one by 72. God damn. Math. Alright, so what they're including the grey area, so that's kind of weird. They're saying that is 71 inches. And they're saying that this, including the grey area, is 72. So just like that, right? So are they cutting on this? What is this grey? What is this grey? So basically this is the print template. So it's almost like... So if I want 4 inches of overlap or 2 inches of overlap between sections, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go and grab Tegel. Here's our Tegel. So this by the way, this is the actual print template. So it's not like the Tegel original art. So that we're kind of resizing the original art now to fit their template. That's what we're kind of doing here. All right. So let's resize this. Let's resize this. Let's get a sense for what we're doing here. So we're gonna get Tegel. Dungeon Tomb says it looks like it is the print max area, the grey stippled line. And that's curious, and I think you're right. I think you're right. Let's actually put their template above ours for a moment. So even though that they're saying that they print 69 by 70, I think their max print area is less. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like the lines that I've got drawn on there, my red lines, well, in fact that my guides, my middle guide right here, this guide here is at the 72 mark. That's 72 inches right there. This one here is at 70. They say that they print 69 inches. I guess, which is here. You're right, man. You're right. 69 inches. Well, that's on the 71 now. Wait a minute. It's not 71. 70. 70. 70. So according to them, they print on my 70 mark. But they've got that grey dotted line. I don't understand it. Like some printer can print full paper, others need that white border. Yeah, I think the way that they're communicating their dimensions in their template. Position artwork anywhere within the safety zone to create a safety zone. Keep all important elements inside the dotted line. This is a safety zone. So even though they will print, I think this. So you guys obviously didn't see this. So basically, the Frog Gods did this print. They did a final print and they brought it to Rikadon. We laid it out on the floor, and there were immediately problems. Right, like shit wasn't lining up properly. And I think it's because the way the template is communicating things. Yes, this is your full bleed here. Yes, they're saying that they will come out to this green line here. But their safety zone is here. Anything here, anything in that zone could go wonky. That's our problem. That's our problem. We need Tegel pieces to fall inside this area here. Hey, thanks to me all. It's great to be hanging out with you guys and girls again. That thing is a problem. It's like yeah, they talk about bleed. Yeah, they talk about their print area, but they have a safety zone. That's your actual print area. Well, shit balls. That changes things. You need to fit all of the grey. You need to fit inside the grey dotted line. You do. Dungeon Tomb. I've had a huge fight with my 3 printers about all of this. Well, now you know the pain I'm going through right here. I wasn't intending to spend Monday doing this, but this is important, right? The frogs need this. No wonder when the frogs were sending this off to the printer and they were coming back and shit was getting cut off and stuff. Their actual safe printing area is much less than what they're saying. But it also means that everything outside the dotted line we could use as our overlap area, right? So if we do this, what do we think our overlap area is there? So it's not 1 inch, it's not 2, it's like 3 inches in, isn't it? It's 3 inches in. Excuse me. So if we do, so that means, all right. So let's change shit up here. Let's change stuff up. Let's get rid of some guides because that one. Let's get rid of you. That one. Let's get rid of you. That one. Let's get rid of you. This one here. Let's get rid of you. All right. Let's do our safety guides. And it's not even this, right? It's like, screw you as well. Do we have one on this side? Yeah, we do. Let's go, so screw you. Screw you. Man, I think the frogs have been working off, like, the template that they were given. And the template is kind of, like, not giving them the full picture. No wonder they're having problems with this shit. Alright, so, let's add some guides. Let's do, and let's do the vertical ones. Okay, so I think we're coming in 3 inches from our left. There, look at that, right on the dotted line. We're going to add a new guide. Oh, well, we got 72, so we're like at the 69 mark, right? Boom, right there. And then we got a new guide on the 75 mark. There. That's our overlap, okay? We need to do our overlap there. And we're going to do a new guide. And so if we're at 144, 171, right? No, 141. You came here for maps? You found math. Math on Twitch. Alright, let's do this again. And then we're going to figure out how this translates to us cutting shit up. Alright, so we've got to do a new guide from the top. 3. That's our like no print zone right there. That's our true no print zone. And then we do new guide. So our middle is 71. Our middle is 71. So that means 68, right? 68. Any advance on 68? Looks about right. And so we've got another one at 74. Yeah, that's looking good. And we've got a view new guide. So we're at 142, 139. That's our actual. Okay, that's it. That's our template right there. Alright, let's turn this little puppy off for a moment. And let's turn off our notes. And let's make sure that I understand that is notes. Alright. That is our template. That's our print template. Let's save that. Dungeon Tomb. Rikadon map, did you not say that it also needs to be done in 3 weeks? And that like 1.5 weeks, so... Alright, so Dungeon Tomb. What are you trying to do, man? Stress me the shit out here or something? The Rikadon map does indeed have a deadline. The Rikadon map, that deadline was like the 20th. So, it's the beginning of the month. We've got like 2-3 weeks to get that shit done. I feel pretty good we'll do it. But I've got to get this done for the frogs too, right? Everything's a deadline. Everything's important. I'm not going to stop working on this just because I got the Rikadon one. Rikadon is second in line. So we're doing this, then we're going to switch into Rikadon, and hopefully today. Jay Shields! Hello, Jay. Well, it's good to see you, my friend. I'm working on boring stuff here. I'm working on math. And people telling me I've got deadlines. Alright, so... If If we're going from there to there. Okay, so look what this does. Let's resize. Let's resize Tegel. Oop, not that one. Let's resize Tegel. To then see how this works. Alright, so there's some good news and there's some bad news. First and foremost, like let's get on our notes section. First and foremost, if this is our no print zone, right? Consider that to be actually kind of your bleed, right? Then our actual building is safe. That's beautiful. And remember on the stream when we actually moved that building in because of the print area? We're golden. That's fantastic. Like, look at all of this. It fits beautifully, right? So we've got no print problems on this. Jay's about to colour an infected knight. Well, Jay, what you're about to do is a hell of a lot more exciting than what I'm about to do. It's like we need to combine the two streams. I'll do math over here. You colour an infected knight. Alright, we have a problem here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to cinch it in, okay, to at least get that. I mean, look at this. This is a problem here. Everywhere else we're pretty good. Everywhere else we're pretty good. So how are we going to do this? How are we now going to do this? Because not only do we need to cut it up, we need to cut it up so we have an overlap. So let me explain what I mean here. And let's get rid of these because I think that's just going to confuse us in a bit. Alright. So what I want is, let's say this is piece 1 and this is going to be piece 2 and our cut is here, right? This and this are not reliable print zones. We're going to lose stuff there. Which means on this building, on this tower here, I want the overlap. Which means that I actually need to almost cut this map like on this line and shift it one direction and sort of cut the map on the other line over here and shift it the other direction. That's where my brain is beginning to break. That's where it's beginning to break, to think of the best way of doing this. Alright, see you, Jake. Alright. So what is the best way, guys? What is the best way of approaching this? So this is almost like one of those puzzles, right? It's like a Chinese freaking puzzle here. I need to cut this. I need to cut this from here to here. This is our cut here, but I want to overlap with the side next door, which means I need to make Tegel bigger than the canvas? Or bigger than the canvas? And then cut it? No, or smaller than the canvas. Yeah, so it's almost like if I cut it to here and then shrunk the piece to fit the print area, and then this side I cut to here and shrink to the print area. That's still what I'm doing, right? I'm cutting to here, and I'm cutting to here. And then I need to just shrink them to the print area. What about the cutout of that level 1 of the tower, and then put it below the 2 small... side dungeon, I'm not understanding. Yeah, I think the whole picture needs to be... the whole picture definitely needs to be smaller, but there's an overlap too that needs to happen here. That's the thing, and the overlap's in the middle, and so this is the kind of where my head's at. Stick with me for a moment. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this here, and I'm gonna turn this off. This is our master, right? We can always come back to that. So this is kind of where my head's at. Oh, I normally have this on the other side over here. Oh, and I probably need to do... Should I snap? I think I should snap. Alright. So, what I'm thinking is if we did... Alright, now stick with me for a moment here. Was number... Yeah, okay. Hey, I've never done this before. Never done this, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. Alright. Let's turn that off. Now what we've got, and I'm just going to stick, so the left side is part 1, the right side is part 2, okay? I'm going to turn off part 2. You see how we've got an overlap between the two? I'm thinking, if we now made these pieces smaller, so, and again, I'm just spitballing here, right? If I turn off all of those, and we shrink part 1, this concerns me, but this is like purely playing around here, right? If we... Whoops. Come back here. We've got to fix this. We've got to do something about that left side. That left side is falling outside the print area. But if we did that, and then on number 2 here... Oops. Number 2 here, we did this... Now, I think we should actually do that, but, like, precisely, not, like, manually. Then, theoretically... Ah, stop it, Faden. Jesus Christ. Then, theoretically... Well, if you print this off, and these are, like, the bad zone... Then, theoretically, though... Part 2... And part 1... overlap, and you get... You see what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm thinking we need to do. I'm thinking that would work. So, this laid out in this way, you're going to end up with these duplicate pieces, and it's going to look kind of weird, but then when you print it, you know... And Dungeon Tomb, it's all good, my friend. I'm kind of stressed because I'm actually not sure the best way of doing this. But any ideas you've got, I'm going to listen to them. Well, thank you very much for the cheer. That's appreciated. Thank you. Now the question is going to be, what do we do here? We've got to make it smaller, right? We've got to make the map smaller. All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get rid of these 4 cuts because we've already done that. It was quick to do. That's not going to be a problem redoing it. First things first. Let's make it straight. Now, let's nudge. I wonder what. It's not gonna. No, we've got less height north and south, so it's not gonna fit better. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. If we nudge this across, we've got. We're gonna have to make it smaller, aren't we? We're not gonna be able to fight that. We're gonna have. Well, I mean that's close, but we're inside the safety zone there, and we're right on the safety zone there. But we're kind of inside it, right? I mean... Yeah, we lose a little bit of grass. I mean, they said, inside this line here is safe. Outside of it, this inch here, theoretically, will print, but there's no guarantees beyond that, right? So theoretically... that fits. I think I might make it a little bit smaller. What do you think? Just a hair smaller, just to be on the safe side here, like not dick around. I feel that might be too much. Hang on. I mean, I want to print it as large as we can, but I want to print safe. I think that will work. And I'll fill in the background now. I'm not too worried about that. We'll worry about the background later. Alright, so let's... And cheers, Dungeon Jim. I'm watching you in the chat there, helping me out with this. See, and honestly, at this point, just throwing in, like, black is not gonna hurt, right? I think, let's just nudge it to this side just a little bit. We're still inside their safety zone. We're still comfortably inside that safety zone. So we're going to roll with that. We're all good here. We're all good here. We're inside the safety zone right there. I think you know what we're going to do. I'm actually just, like, that entire left edge there, it's just, like, gone into black anyway. So I'm just going to fill the background with black at this point, you know? Alright. That's safe. That's safe. Let's save that. Alright. Now we're going to cut this up. We're going to cut it up, and then we need to shrink the pieces so they fit within the template. Dungeon Tomb says, cut it, make it fit as close to the grey line as possible, the safety zone. Right. So that is right on the safety zone. Oops. And that's pretty damn close to the safety zone right there. I mean, I think... I mean, look at that. Our green is even slightly going over the safety zone. And I think that'll be fine. And the gazebo's... Like, the gazebo's spilling beyond the safety zone at this point. But I think, you know, for this version of the print, that's okay. in a way what we're doing here is we're kind of doing layout, aren't we? We're doing layout of this. I don't normally do layout of my own maps. You tell me how big to draw it, I'll draw a map. Alright, so let's cut shit up. Let's do it. Do we need 3 inches of overlap? Yeah, you know what? Let's stick with the plan. Let's stick with the plan. Alright. That's piece 1. That's gonna be piece 2. We're going southwest, northwest, northeast, southeast, okay? And then we're going to do, like, little markings on these, too. We're going to do little watermarks in the print, so we know where the pieces are. Alright, so we're going to do... This is piece 3. And then piece 4... Alright, so this is piece 4. Now let's turn off our secondary master here. And I'm going to turn off these. And we've got piece 1. Now piece 1 has to now fit... I'm going to turn my notes back on here for a moment. Each piece... That cut did not snap to the line. That cut did not snap to the line. I'm going to have to redo that cut. But each piece, I think we should verify our cuts. Like this one here, you can see that it went to the line beautifully. Here, it's kind of come in. It didn't snap. But we'll fix that in a moment. So what we're going to do is our actual print area is here. So what we've been doing is we're cutting to get an overlap, but we're going to have to shrink these pieces to fit within that area right there. But first, let's do a sanity check of our actual pieces. So piece number 1 is not good. Let's redo number 1, right? Let's redo number 1. Yep, that's on the line. Beautiful. Alright. Alright, so this is our new number 1. Let's get rid of you. Alright. Number 1, good. How's number 2 looking? Number 2 has the same problem. Number 2 has the same problem. Alright, so let's redo number 2. Let's get rid of you. Let's bring you back. You know, it's actually... Look at that. That's so weird. It's doing a weird snap. That's not to the guide. What is going on here? That is not on the guide. Select, transform selection. Why is it doing that? Why is it snapping away from the guide? What am I not following here? What am I not following? This is a good walk through memory lane now. Looking at this wonderful detailed map, right? There we go. Alright. So now, that's on number 2. That's on number 2. Let's turn number 2 off. Alright. In fact, let's bring number 2 back. Let's just make sure it's good. Put number 1 back. Alright, someone explain to me why when we're cutting on the guide, it is jumping in by such a large amount. Why is it doing that? That is frustrating. I feel like I should probably be doing slices. I feel like I should probably be doing slices because this guide... But let's... This is strange. See, they're good. 3 and 4 are spot on. 3 and 4 are really good. 1 and 2 are not. Let's try this one more time. Let's try this one more time. Alright. This will be number 2. Is this 2? Let's turn you off. I think part of what's going on with number 2... Oh, you know what it is? It's actually moving the slice. You see that? That's what it's doing. It's moving the freaking slice. If the slice size is correct... Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, you're playing with my brain. Alright, let's try this again. Look at that. Alright, so come over here. That was it. That was it. Alright. You little bugger, you. You little bugger. Alright. I wonder if it's because the image is not all the way to the left there, so it was kind of like, when I was like creating a slice, it was like jiggling it around. I think that's probably what was going on. Alright, so let's copy that. This is going to be number 1. We're going to move you up here. And then invariably, my number 1 piece is not quite where it should be, so we're going to move our number 1 piece where it should be. Alright. Those are our slices. And there's overlap between all of them. There's like 6 inches of overlap between all of them. So we now need to make these slices smaller. That's the next thing. Let's save that right there. Zombie. Bill Gates Gremlin. Yeah, no, so one of the things I've noticed about Photoshop is Photoshop behaves differently on a Mac than it does on a PC. They'll even remove features and functions on a PC for some bizarre reason. And maybe it's just gonna be one of those little buggy things. Why do you have to have all of those lines? Don't you not have 2 lines, one vertical and one waterline, and then just cut the big picture? No. No. So Dungeon Sim, hold that thought for a moment. Demille, we're not redoing the map. We're not redoing the map. The map stays. The map is good. Everything's fantastic with it. What you see is what's going to get printed off in the book. I think they're even doing a poster-sized version. There's going to be a little insert in the book. This is all good. And I've got a version of this with all of the labels and DM markings and shit like that. No redo of the map. But they are also doing a 12 by 12 printed version for some people. And it's this massive floor map that you can do. But, and Dungeon, this is going to start getting to what you're talking about now. They can only print it in sections. And the outside, like 4 sections, right? And each section is approximately 6 by 6, 6 by 6, 6 by 6, 6 by 6, right? Here's the problem. And Dungeon, I'll see if I can explain this to you, okay? This is what we're doing. The problem here, everyone, is... Let's get my brush on. In fact, let's come up to... Let's work off this little area here, right? So, this... Here... This... is 6 by 6. Well, in fact, it's not. This is the actual size that they can print to, which means we have this whole section here that isn't even going to get printed. There's the first problem. The second problem, and the big one, is they have this safety area here. Anything outside of that safety area, odds on it's not going to print correctly. And their cutting of the canvas, I've seen it with my own eyes, starts to look like shit. So if, and this is what you were saying, Dungeon, if you just had one line here and you cut to it, you're going to have a section right there that isn't going to print. This here, oops, all of this is not going to print. Then the next inch in is going to be all wavy and shit, like the cut does this. And then you're going to have like a section where maybe it's going to print, maybe it's not, up to here. And so all of the, and if you did that, this would be lost on the map, this gets lost on the map. Those are not safe printing areas. That's why I can't just cut it right down the middle. That's why I can't just cut it right down the middle. Because this whole area here is not a safe print area. That's effectively our bleed. This, and I've seen this by the way. I saw this with my own eyes. You get this 2 to 4 inch section that is just bad printing. And we were going to lose all of that. That's why we can't just go snip snip. I wish we could. I wish we could, and we can't. We have 3 inches all the way around each section that won't print reliably. So what do we have to do about that? Well, if one section overlapped with the next section by 3 inches, that dead zone, and the next section overlapped that by 3 inches, then theoretically, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, if 1 inch doesn't print and 1 inch kind of prints a bit funny, because when you overlap them, remember this is all canvas on floor, when you overlap them, you get a good join. So we need to actually get an overlapping join. We can't just do one cut. Does that make sense? So what I'm doing is my pieces are going to be like there, and the piece next to it is going to be there. This bit is my overlap. So in other words, Part 2 of the map includes part of part 1. And part 1 of the map includes part of part 2. Now you can do shit printing on the outside edge all of you like, overlap them, it works. That's why we're doing this. Hopefully that made sense. That makes it a pain in the ass though too. Yes, I need to make pieces that overlap each other. And I think that was known to the frogs when they sent off the templates. They did a prototype, right? They did a prototype. But what the frogs didn't know, and what I didn't know until today, is the printing company says you need a 1-inch bleed. That's not going to print, right? You need a 1-inch kind of like padding. But they say they will print that 1 inch, but they won't, because your safe print area is 3 inches. In other words, they've got 3 inches where maybe it'll print, maybe it won't. The frogs didn't anticipate that when they sent this off for a prototype. So that's what we're doing. I offered to help them, Demille. Not redrawing it, I offered to help them just get this dialed in. So that's kind of what we're doing. And I think we have our pieces here. Now we need to... But basically, actually, just let's go back to my notes real quick. So here's the challenge that I've got, though, right? So we have... Basically... We have a slice that is this wide, but they can only print this wide. In other words, to get that overlap, I need to create a slice that is too big. So I now need to resize my map so that each piece which overlaps fits within their 72 inches. And my one is currently 75 inches. So we need to resize these slices now. And they all overlap. But we need to now resize these individual slices so they're a little bit smaller and fit within the print area that we've got available. That's kind of what we're doing. I regret it a little bit. I regret it because honestly I didn't want to be doing this type of boring stuff with all of you on stream. And I wanted to spend today drawing maps and colouring maps. That's what I wanted to be doing with today. But it's just good to be back on stream, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't complain just from that perspective. It's just great to get back into the swing of things. It's a holiday weekend over here. So this is all good. This is fine. And honestly, I love the frogs. I love the frogs. And if the frogs need help, I'm going to help them. Right? But let's talk about the next step here. So, we need to... let's not fuck about with part 1 here. And let's not do part 2. Let's look at part 4. Alright, right down in the corner. So you get now that we now need to resize our pieces so they fit within the print area. I don't know what size that is. I'm going to do this manually. I'm going to watch the top here as a percentage. And I'm going to see if we can gauge. And then we can resize every single piece by the same percentage, right? So, if we're going to resize this to the print area, that basically is... Oh, I suppose... Oh, right, yeah, it's 71 by 22. It's 71 by 22. I don't need to do percentages. So somewhere where I can just say resize this to 71 by 22. Or is it just like 96%? I feel like That's not... No. Yeah, there. There. Hold on a sec. So hold on a sec. Can we just... Oh, you're not gonna let me... Oh, you're not gonna let me edit that? Or you're just gonna tell me what it is? Alright, alright. So 71 by 22. I feel it's 96%. I think it's 96%. I feel like it's 96%. Dungeon 2, remember that. 96%. So theoretically, if we then get piece number 3 here, and we do a transform, and we type in 96%, that should be exactly the same rescaling. We zoom in. This could work, guys. This could work. Now, so let me see if I can sort of do a proof of concept here. So clearly, this print here does not butt up against that, right? That's not what we're doing. Because if we overlay it like this, then things line up, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But we have to give them to the printer as 4 separate pieces. Well, hot diggity, I think that could work. And we're still within their safe printing area. Alright, I think that's it. 96%. Dungeon, smart dude up here for thinking, down there for dancing. I'm sitting there thinking 96, 96, 96. Just write it fucking down, dude. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. There it is in chat. 96%. Okay, so let's do it again. Okay, I think we're over the hump. We're over the hump. We're going to get into some fun stuff. So we're going to transform this. Piece number 2. We're going to do 96%. Perfect. Done. I feel like I just fuck... Oh, no, I didn't. That's our print area right there. Okay, cool. And then we're going to do item number 1. And we're going to transform this by 96%. Great. Those are our pieces. So let's just do a sanity check. If you got this as a print, right, you're going to have this piece here separate from this piece over here. And what you'd be able to do is lay them out on your floor and do this. And everything lines up. That's what we're shooting for. That's what we're shooting for right there. Now it means that the final print is not quite 12 by 12, right? It means that the final print is more like 11.5 by 11.5. But I think that's okay. I think that's okay. And then what you're going to get at the edge is maybe some, like, you know, like crooked print, like cutting or something. Or maybe you're going to find, like, part of it doesn't print right to the edge. Doesn't matter. You've got 3 inches on each side overlapping. So that should be enough. That I think right there is what we're after. I think that's it. I think that's our cuts. Now here's the next bit that we're gonna do. Real quick. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do black. We're gonna do this. And we're just going to do something like this. Southwest. What's the date? 9/2/19, right? 9/09/02/19. Alright. I want to do something like this on each piece. This is the southwest corner right here. And then if we merge these pieces, perfect. Perfect. Alright, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Now the reason why I'm doing this, so we've got northwest 02/09/02/19. I'm doing this so we know what version of this map it is. And as a customer, you would receive this map and be able to sort of say, okay, this is a southwest corner, this is a northeast corner. And you'd be able to lay all of it out because of that. This is piece 2, right? Yep, alright. Let's merge them. Perfect. Let's come over to part 3. Basically trying to give you a visual tool so you know what order to lay things out in. Alright, so we've got northeast, 09/02/19. Let's put that around there. I came up with like needing to do some kind of version number on this because I've been working with the frogs for like the last year on this, right? And we did a prototype print last year. We did a prototype print earlier this year. We did a prototype print for Reaper. That's 3 prototypes, and the pieces are beginning to get mixed up. We've got 4 pieces per prototype. So if I actually start to now track them like this, then we can start to actually track what's what, right? And I think what we're gonna do is there we go. All right. That's not obnoxious, right? Is that okay? What type of print method are they using to print these? Shower curtains. It prints off on this pretty heavy cloth. And you can print custom shower curtains, right? So these are basically shower curtains. I don't know what method they use for that. I've seen them, by the way. They look beautiful. Really crisp in colour and everything. They're really good. The only problem has always been this overlapping thing. Dungeon Tomb. Like a watermark so they know which piece goes where. Bingo. Exactly. That's why I just did that. Now, I do need to do another watermark, but I didn't get the actual Frog God sort of logo from them, so they can add that themselves. So, we need to do this, we need to do this. I am pretty damn happy with this. I think that this is correct. Alright, we've got our 4 pieces. We don't need 2 masters. Let's get rid of you. We've got 1 master there. that's got that. We don't need our notes anymore, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of... I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. Let's get rid of that. We don't need 2 of these, so... That's the one showing us that we've got the safe print zone. So let's keep that one. Let's get rid of that one. Perfect. Or some source. It's kind of like, you know, that's it, right? I think... So, what's the best way? What's the best way of saving just an individual piece? What's the best way of doing that? Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave it as it is for now, and then I'll deal with all of the saving of the individual pieces separately. I think this is a great time to move on to the next map. What do you think? Like, let's have some fun. I think this is it, though, guys. I think this is it. I mean, look, it all fits within the print area. It all overlaps with the adjoining pieces. And I gotta be honest with you, Zombie, I think you were right. The key was that grey dotted line. They're talking about, this is our canvas size, this is our print area, but if you want to be sure, keep it within the dotted lines. And the dotted lines were even freaking smaller. That's what was throwing this off. It was all about those dotted lines. We got it now. I feel it. I'm feeling this. This is great. This is going to be a beautiful freaking map. This is going to be a great map. And it kind of looks funny like this, but hey, it works. I love it when you overlap them. It's beautiful. All right, that's it. That's it. I love this map. I can't stop zooming in. I didn't know Dungeon. Sorry, Dungeon. I thought it was Zombie that talked about the grey lines. You know me. I'm old. I forget. But yes, that was the key. The grey lines. The grey dotted lines. Alright. Let's walk away from this one. I think we got it. I think we got it. Those are our pieces. Right there. Beautiful. Alright. So... let's work on something fun. This is Rikadon. This is a bit of a focus for us. Oh, by the way, changing gears, everyone. Stop working on Tegel now. Now working on this one. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get this back where I like it. Let's do right here. Let's check our brushes and everything. Let's remind ourselves what we were doing with this one. So, Klein basically... I'm going to turn off my ink for a moment. Klein had this map. This is a Greek-inspired city that is meant to be one of the largest cities in a particular area of the world. This is a fine-looking map. I like this map. It's got some good colours. I would be quite happy to have this in a book, you know? I didn't do this map. Someone else did. I don't know who. But there's nothing wrong with this map. It's nice. If you did it, if you see me talking about your map, good job. This is good. The problem is that, one, I'm actually drawing Lokatoy, obviously, for this client. And the client has an interest in making the maps consistently the same artistic style. We all understand that, right? But also, this is meant to have a population of about 3,000 people, something like that. This feels a bit smaller to me. And I think because of the uniform roofs that we've got going on here, it feels a little bit more modern. So, and the scale, forgive me if you drew this map, the scale feels a bit funny, like, the size of those ships, the size of those piers, they are freaking massive. I mean, they're massive. especially compared to buildings sizes. So I think the scale is a little bit wonk. The roads, because they're sunken, are looking a little bit streamy in appearance. You know, just at this sort of level, I feel I'm seeing streams. And I feel like there's more opportunity. There's meant to be more orchards and more villas and things at the top area here. So there's just some things about the map where the client just wants to kind of nudge it a little bit. So that's what we're doing. So, but we're gonna keep. This is canon, right? This is the original map. So we have to keep the spirit of this while moving on to the next, like iterating it in our style. So what we've been doing is we are keeping the spirit of the original map. I've scaled back a little bit on our docks. I've actually made our dock area just a little bit, you know, I've got some like warehouses and things in here. We drew some crates and like cranes and shit because this is meant to be a pretty major city. The marketplace is meant to be a bustling marketplace. It's meant to be a pretty large sort of area. And obviously what we've got about like half a dozen tents here. So we ramped that up a little bit. We've got a lot more tents in here. I drew a statue in the middle, you know, that whole Greek factor. I've varied up the shape of our buildings and our roof textures and things a little bit too. Introduced a little bit more sort of smaller temples and things, some courtyards and stuff like that. Also, one of the things, if you've been watching a stream, you'll know I talk about this, is, you know, we've got this, let's get our little narrate layer going on. But we've got our bridge up here, but it's like there's no one using it. You know, why would they not use this one here and just like walk to where they need to go? Especially considering the scale of this shit, right? They just wouldn't build that bridge. But I like the bridge there. There's no reason why not to have a bridge there. But I think what we're gonna do is bring up some buildings a little bit further to the north if we're gonna have that bridge. I do feel like it's a little dense there. I might cut back on that ink. We'll see. We're also then gonna, let's get on the rate going back. We're gonna bring, you can see we're gonna bring our buildings up here a little bit. We're gonna add some villas. We're gonna add some orchards and things like that. We're gonna do the same here. We're gonna kind of wrap around this hippodrome a little bit. We are gonna draw the hippodrome. We're gonna keep all of this city shape here, but we're gonna kind of come up this way just a little bit. So we're gonna keep the spirit of everything. We're just gonna make it a little bit bigger, a little bit, and then that will give you the sense of size. This is meant to be, I think, a king's place. I think that's meant to be the royal palace. There's a royal palace and there's a temple. By the time we get to them, I'll figure out which is which. But I want to kind of, like, the temple, I want to bring some other buildings closer to it. I love the fact that there were villas like this. I got no problem with it, but I want one or two other ones dotted around. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we also spoke about adding some industry here. And, like, someone actually mentioned having, like, a little whaling area or something. You know, so maybe we'll actually add a little whaling area here. That gives a little bit of a purpose to this road here, right? This then gets into the town proper here. And then this here, I think is meant to be a halfling commune. I kind of want to take this concept, this halfling commune here, and I want to, like, bring it in. I want to, like, kind of get really close, and we're going to just do a whole bunch of, like, little tiny houses and that type of shit right there. That's kind of what we're doing with this particular map. Hopefully everyone's clear. Hope you will be making notes, because we will be asking questions at the end of the stream. And now I'm going to skip this particular music track because I don't like it. There we go, much better. Alright, so let's I haven't touched this in like a week, so let's have some fun with it. Alright, let's start easy. I've forgotten how to map, right? So let's... Now we are not copying the map underneath at all. But I think to get us warmed up, we are going to draw some vegetation. I think that's what we're going to do, just to get things going. And this is how I do vegetation, by the way. If you've been to one of my seminars that I do at conventions, you'll know that basically I describe this as drawing fluffy clouds. But what I'm also doing is, you'll see that I'm adding more lines to basically the southwest corner. I'm kind of giving that sense of some shadowing that I'm going to do later on. And again, I may not necessarily agree with the placement of these trees, etc. So we're not going to copy them all. But this is going to force me to thin out my buildings as we start leaving town. So this is almost, I'm drawing a demarcation point. That's kind of what I'm doing here. And I partly am doing this to warm up for the day. It's been a while since we've been drawing maps, right? But I don't want to do too much of it, because I tend to approach trees and copses and their placement on the map, and their size and their shape, differently than these randomly scattered trees. And they feel randomly scattered, and that's kind of not what I'm about. So I want to be careful I don't suck myself into drawing something that is not me. But at the same time, it kind of gets us going, right? Kind of gets those juices going. I think that's important. Alright, Demille, off to get for your own stream. You can't be in your stream and in mine. Go do your thing, girl. And who knows? Maybe if you're still streaming when I'm done over here, I'll pop on over to you, okay? What is our main focus going to be today? What is our main focus going to be? I feel like we should just concentrate on the town and populate it. So let's do that. I'm going to turn off our background here. Alright. And I'm going to turn on, there's a secondary trace. Let's give it a bit of opacity. Let me tell you what we're going to do here. So I work through negative space. Where there's no building, there's road, right? So let's decide where our roads are going to be. I always typically get my roads marked on before I start drawing buildings. So let's kind of give ourselves a sense for the layout of this town. And again, because this town is kind of canon, we're going to let it drive layout. Client didn't say that they want me to redraw the whole thing from scratch. So we're sticking to a general plan. And normally I only actually have to draw one side of the road, right? Because if you draw buildings on either side of the road, your road forms. But just for giggles, let's do it this way. Alright, let's turn that off again. So we're probably going to have something the other side of the warehouses, right? So let's just mark off where this road is going to be. So something like this. Yeah, that actually would butt up nicely to this here. Maybe we'll put something in here like a garden or something. I feel this is too wide. This is too wide here. So we're gonna close that up. I'll show you how I'm gonna close that up in a second. So we're gonna fill in this area right here. Let's bring our road down to the docks. I kind of like the idea, because this is a funny shape here. Let's bring our road down into this shape here, which will actually then break that up a little bit. Oh, big eraser. Alright, let's get that down a little bit. Alright. Something like this. Let's do it. Let's get into this thing. Let's draw some buildings, shall we? There we go. Alright, it is good to be back. It is good to be streaming again. In fact, while we're talking, let's talk about streaming, okay? Let's talk about my plans here. So, I was at Rikadon this last weekend. I was there from Wednesday through yesterday. And one thing I noticed was, I think, is it James Wappel? The famous painter of miniatures. I was looking at his setup because he basically he was painting, right? He's got his desk with minis and he's got his light, but he's like almost streaming it behind him. He's got this big huge sort of like TV of it, but you can see his brush and him painting his minis. And that's what I want to be able to do on my Whiskey and Paint. I want to be able to basically stream with you guys on Friday nights, but not maps, me painting miniatures. So I basically looked at his setup, and he's got like this device, which I'm going to buy. And it was this like great, it's basically a camera, it's a little camera that like looks down. And he's got like a little tiny monitor next to him so he can see what you're seeing. I should be able to then plug that into something that's streaming to you. And we should be able to stream. I should be able to paint. You can see me painting. You know, you'll be able to actually see the detail of the mini. That's what we're going to do. That's something that I'm going to add to the channel here. I'm looking forward to that. I've been wanting to actually stream Whiskey and Paint with you since I started streaming. I did it once and it just wasn't working out. But we're going to get into it. It's going to be fun. I think that setup is going to work. Not every building gets roof detail because it ends up just being way too black on the map. One of the things that we want to do is to make sure that we've got nice little courtyards and everything going on. Because that feels like Mediterranean-like to me. Alright. Right, I'm gonna this area here, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with that in a moment. I'm going to show you why I don't like it, and then what I'm going to do about it. Alright, let's do that right now. So this here, first and foremost, we've obviously got, like this, would feel like more of a natural sort of flow to the road. But what we've got is, like, the road is actually doing this, right? So there's a couple of ways, like what do we do about this? This road is just widened out quite considerably. So one way of handling that is you could actually put like a statue or something, or a pond or, you know, fountain right there in the center. And you'll see how by breaking this road up and sort of giving the foot traffic sort of a way to go either way, this actually opens out into a nice little sort of plaza. That's perfectly fine. That would actually work quite well. Another way of handling this, though, would be to actually add some little gardens or something here. And, you know, you end up with like some plants and shit like this, maybe a little bit of a tree or something right here. You've now narrowed down the road still, and you've created an edge to the buildings. The buildings don't have to be physical buildings, they can be the property line of the building. And now our road has the correct width. I think we're going to go that route. Let's turn you off. I think we'll add a little bit of a tree or something in a corner here. That will soften off the corner. We'll add a little bit of a garden, a little bit of a path coming in here. Add a little bit of vegetation. This is the edge of the water. Now, we're heavily zoomed in right now. So this is kind of looking a little bit blurry. The pixels are kind of like, whoa, that's in my face, man. I'll zoom out in a second. Hold on. Here we go. There you go. So something more like that. Let's get rid of this one. Now, similar principle. It's like suddenly the road goes, wow, like big huge open area. Well, that's okay because these are warehouses. What do warehouses have? You have like fences around the back, right? They've got some things like stored back here. They got little sort of paths where the workers are like stacking stuff. Maybe they're stacking some lumber back here. Let's put some lumber in. Likewise, we'll come through here with another little fence for the warehouse next door. Think building footprint, not necessarily the entire building itself. And let's do a similar sort of principle, right? So maybe we'll even like insinuate that that's kind of like a little way out. Little pattern. When we color this later, they'll just pop. They'll be awesome. Okay, let's get some regular rows of things here, like storage, right? Outside storage. Let's draw a little cart or something here. There we go. Cool. Now our road feels correct. This one doesn't know. We've got the same problem, right? So let's do a similar sort of principle. Another way that we can handle this, because I wanna narrow this off to, like, you know, right about here. So let's narrow it off to right about there. We're going to make these gardens. And likewise to about here. And you might be able to hear a little Muggy in the background. But let's do a little insinuation of a door right there. There, that's better. That's better. This is part of the problem when I'm actually drawing a map and I'm following someone else's work. I start to deviate from my own rules a little bit, and so I feel like, you know, I turned off certain layers. I was like, wow, actually these roads are like not a good shape, so just gonna spend a little bit of a moment correcting those. That feels a little bit more natural now. You come across the bridge. You got a nice, clear, distinct way through. That's much better. Alright. We're going to make this one a little courtyard. We'll put a little fountain in the center. So, just a point of note. This building right here, I just basically made that a square. I mean, if you look at this, this is a square here. And that's what people do, right? They draw squares on the map. That's a building. I'm a big, huge believer, though, that the square doesn't have to be the entire building. That is the boundary of the building and the garden and everything else. So that's why you'll see that I've got this, I just drew in this little sort of garden right there. But it just helps sort of frame in our little courtyard a little bit. And to help with that, I'm going to actually now draw a little awning on this building here. Just again, help frame everything in. Almost keep like a level of symmetricality to the affair. Alright. Where is our road guideline? It is here. Let's draw in some buildings here. What is my objective for today? My objective for today is to get a good chunk of these buildings done. Wouldn't it be fun if we could like get maybe half the town drawn? That would be kind of fun. I'd like to get to colouring. When do we want to colour this by? End of next weekend? End of next weekend, be colouring? Let's make that our target. To be done with the actual black and white by end of next Sunday. Yeah, alright. So there you go, Dungeon Tomb. There's my schedule that I just set for myself. Alright, so that area there, right there, is actually a really funny shape. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment. We're going to do something with that. Okay, we've got a little alleyway coming through here, so let's keep that alleyway. I like the idea of it. Let's bend the alleyway around the corner into this area here. Okay. Right, comes out into the courtyard. Do we want to do another courtyard? Too many courtyards close together is just going to create a very loose feeling city. But I think, because it's the other side of the street, I think maybe it could work. So maybe what we'll do is we'll draw... Let's do a statue. Standing in a fountain. This will get coloured blue later on. Yeah, something like that. Got a statue, kind of doing this type of deal. We'll do some little benches around it. We'll have a little garden here. So leading away from the courtyard. We'll have a little path going into the building. And we'll do some little awnings here to help, again, frame the scene, right? We'll do one here as well. And maybe one here. Helps fill in those sort of odd spaces. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm not particularly liking the fact that we've got this big, huge gap with these tents here. So I think what we'll do... We'll get some pillars coming away from this. The front of this building, we're going to add some steps coming up. That then feels a little bit more natural to then do something like this. Yep. And the rest of this will be kind of in regular colouring. Something not too dissimilar from that. Now that feels like we've got a little bit of a path forming there. I kind of like the fact that that tent falls right in the middle of the street. I think we're going to add another one. Get our street hawkers going. I can imagine walking down the street, you know, and you've got these tents beginning to crop up, and you've got like some tents coming down the street a little bit. Alright. Now, because I don't want to do courtyard, so I'm going to fill this area with some buildings. Now, what a lot of people tend to do when they're drawing buildings is they draw individual buildings and they look like individual buildings. But a lot of the time, I feel that it's all really about roof shapes. And if you've got a lot of buildings right up against each other, those roofs are going to start to merge together. So this is why I end up like drawing very different shapes a lot of the time. That's my hallmark for my buildings. Now I kind of want to come this direction, but I don't know whether that's going to work, so I'm not going to do it. There'll be a little garden area in the back. What time are you streaming through? I'm going to stream at least another hour, an hour and a half maybe. I love being off from the day job so much, to be able to just like stream during the day. So much fun. Alright, you can see when you zoom out, but that basically looks like a conglomeration of buildings and little outhouses and shit, just all jammed in against each other. Let's do the same here. So when I was at Rikadon this last weekend, I had the idea of I would actually love to go to conventions with this setup and actually stream while we're working, but work at the convention. I thought it'd be kind of cool. I could have a table set up and everything. Get a, you know, TV, just like Wobble does with his miniatures. I'd just sit there and stream working, stream the map. Because who in our like gaming industry doesn't like maps? Just getting stuff back. You see the effect that it has? It looks like there's actually storage back there. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. Yes, Dungeon, I am. Dungeon says, like a 70-inch monitor so that all of you come say, wow, this looks like... I know, right? Wouldn't it be kind of cool to have a big, huge monitor behind me and I'm drawing like this on the Wacom, but you can see what I'm drawing and then I could be chatting and stuff, but at the same time we could be streaming it constantly. It'd be kind of fun. I think sometimes, Dungeon, I get stressed. I always get stressed over deadlines. Who's not going to get stressed over a deadline, right? That's part of the business. It's cool and all. I mean, that's part of it. You have to deal with deadlines. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to get stressed by them. But the other part is that if I am working on something that I don't normally work on, and I'm not talking about map-wise necessarily, and I'm doing it on stream, and if I feel that it is affecting the quality of the stream, I don't like that. And so sitting there trying to figure out math was actually not something I'm comfortable with, right? But that said, man, that said, doing it on stream led to the revelation of the dotted grey line. So it actually kind of worked out okay, didn't it? It worked out okay. I'd probably still be staring at that thing. I probably would have got it wrong. I probably would have got it wrong if we hadn't been doing it together. Most say I think I don't like in this building below because they are so straight in lines compared to regular building. I think maybe because you used the other map before. Oh, which ones don't you like? Like this stuff over here? Yeah. We'll make it work though, my friend. We'll make it work. You can see that I'm beginning to shift into drawing the way that I draw. See, so actually you raised a really good point. So that's one of the things that I actually don't like doing as a cartographer. And I didn't realise this until this year. And it was a different project, which I'm not going to name. But I got really, uncomfortable working on that particular project because I was following someone else's work. And the thing about following someone else's work is, what if their work is wrong? What if it's wrong? And that right there makes me unhappy. Because I want to fix things, but maybe I can't fix things. So this map is a little bit similar, right? Just even following someone else's work makes me uncomfortable. And then if I want to start deviating, and I feel like I can't deviate, basically my hands have been tied, that's the type of thing that breaks my brain. And makes me uncomfortable with the assignment, you know? Close to the bridge. I think they're going to turn out okay, though. They are going to turn out. All of those are going to turn out just fine. Especially when we get into colouring them and stuff. I would normally approach the map completely differently. But it's going to be fine. I think part of it too is, normally if I was drawing this map at this scale, I probably would have I would have approached the whole thing just a little bit differently. So it throws me out my comfort zone when, I have to sort of follow someone else's shape or work, and then I start to draw differently than I would normally draw because of it. And I have to sort of drag myself back into, my style, my way of thinking. And the least I can do that, or the more difficult it is for me to do that, the more uncomfortable I am with the assignment. I think this one, though, we're dragging this one back to my style. We're doing it right now. And as long as we can do that, then we are all good. There's also I've got to be honest with you, the part of this is I want to actually recognize that unless we are drawing, I don't like this, unless we are drawing at a pretty large city size, I need to add roof details. I need to make some of my buildings more straight and regular than I would normally do. Well, thank you, Dungeon. I think you and I are seeing the same thing. We're beginning to add the fading factor, right? Fading factor. I'm trademarking that shit. Yeah, I'm probably doing a little bit more roof detail than I would normally do on a map like this. But that's because normally I'm zoomed out a little bit more. And we want this thing to feel a little bit Mediterranean, right? So a little bit of roof detail, I think it's going to go a long way. The main thing, though, is going to be in making sure that we have little temples and little plazas and little courtyards. I think that's going to be the big part of this. What have you... Anyway, Dungeon Sim, you mentioned earlier that you were struggling or something with 3 printers on something. What were you having done? What were they doing for you? What was the project? Bodhi Gazilla is in the house. Do you ever make up stories about the buildings as you draw? Damn right I do. I have been doing that for years. Yeah, no, I do. I think that's part of the magic of what we do here, right? Let me answer that in a couple of ways, actually, sort of demonstrating as we go. So, the fact that we're drawing, like, lumber and supplies in the back building and little paths and stuff, I think it starts to then show where people work and what they're doing, right? But then you'll get, let's say, a location like this, crossing the bridge. And I've done this. We'll go, okay, so this is a pretty majorly trafficked bridge. So maybe what we'll do is we'll get some kind of tavern or something here. And so let's draw sort of a place that feels sort of a little bit sort of taverny. Let's make it a sort of fairly major building. Let's come out like this. It's not on the outside of town, so we're not going to do any stables or anything like that. But let's sort of do something like this. But maybe this is a balcony here. So let's make this a little bit of a balcony, like so. Let's bring our roof down like so. And this balcony, maybe there's little courtesans that hang out at the top of that balcony as people are coming and going. Hey, sailor, how are you? I do that shit all of the time. Not with every building, because I don't think we'd ever actually be able to actually move on. But yeah, I do. Let's come back over here. I think sometimes you got to, right? It's like, I don't know, because that's what makes the map feel lived in. That it's used, and I don't mean the map itself is used, but that we're dealing with a population of people living in an area, working in an area. I think you have to do that. That's honestly, not to knock it, but so the map behind this map that this person drew It's a nice map. It's nice. But where's the personality? Point at one building, you know, that has personality to it. And I think as long as you can inject some personality in there, you're gold. I mean, the marketplaces. I always end up drawing a little marketplace with some crates and stuff behind a tent that a merchant is clearly, you know, pulling from for his stock. And there's always a little cart and a campfire with some logs around the campfire where the merchants hang out when they're not freaking like serving customers. Exactly, Bodhi. Exactly. And I even know the first map that I did that on too. It was actually for R. Scott Taylor and the city of Toe, and it was the map of the. Was it that map? And it was a map of, it's almost like an old sort of football stadium. It's now all overgrown. It's got buildings and stuff like up in the seating areas and things like that. And but I did the surrounding area as well. And it's a big, huge canal and there's bridges coming across. And I ended up like drawing this little building, a little sort of balcony overlook. And it was like, yeah, that's where courtesans hang out. Watching people come by, where the major traffic's at. I think we're gonna do a little courtyard here. Are we? Are we gonna do? Are we? Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't. Not yet. Not yet. There we go. Let's just keep. I feel like we should dissect this, like with another road coming through, you know, type of deal. So that's what we're gonna do, because that's gonna create two pretty heavy chunks of buildings. So let's do that. Like this, the Solis regional map. Atrioid, very nice map. I love digitally drawing maps, but I find colouring them to be my biggest weakness. This is a really early version, by the way. I'm not sure how much of the stream you've been watching, but we're very, very, very early stages. I'm colouring, actually. Let me show you real quick. I don't know if you've seen this one that I'm colouring right now. Colouring is my biggest weakness too, by the way. There we go. Let's just open up Keystone Reforged. I doubt we're going to work on Keystone Reforged today. Is that opening? Is that doing anything? There we go. But I am going to be working on this one later this week. So maybe we could even hang out a little bit. I can show you how I approach colouring of my maps. I tend to approach them in sort of multi layers, you know, sort of building up the colours. I almost use something that's a little bit akin to an airbrush in a way, so I can actually sort of blend some colours together, you know, get those textures going on. I struggle like the Dickens because a lot of my pictures or pieces tend to be, I think, a little oversaturated if I'm not careful. So I have to always strive against that. But I am enjoying how this particular piece is coming out. I am going to be working on this. I'm also working on something for Two King Games. I'm pretty sure they're called Two King Games. I'm going to be colouring a map for them too this month. So I've got a lot of colouring to do this month. So if you want to like just watch the streams for those, and it's always Alyssa Faden colours. I'm colouring something that evening, and then I always back it up to YouTube, and I always back it up to my Facebook wall, so you can always check it out later. This particular piece that we're doing right here is kind of like a redo of someone else's map. So we've been actually talking about that a little bit, about how it's actually harder then to keep your current style, but I'm trying. Trying to keep the thing that makes it a fading factor, you know? I always love colouring now. I love getting into the colouring stage. And it's because I think it's because it makes the map just come alive, man. You know what? Let's join this up here. Let's just do it. Have you got any samples you want to share? If you want to, like, you know, if you send me a link of something that you've been working on, I'll always bring it up in the stream. I've never got a problem with that. I'd love to see what you've got. You make me think, actually, that it'd be kind of cool to do a seminar at a convention, you know, like Gamehole Con or Gary Con or something, about colouring of maps. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. I don't know if I feel confident enough with colour to actually teach colour, but that could be an interesting thing to do. Zoom out, see how this is shaping up. I gotta be careful my buildings aren't getting too small. I feel like I'm getting a little too small. I might need to start bumping up in size a little bit. For me, I know I just don't have a good colour sense. Well, I'll tell you what, Atrioid, if you ever pop in again, get some links for me, man. I will happily share them. Love to sort of sit there, look at them with you. You know, we can talk about them a little bit. I love doing that. But that's what we're doing right now. This is not about me drawing a map. This is about us hanging out, talking about maps, etc. Yeah, love to see them. Colour sense, though. So, I colour maps. I paint miniatures. And colour is my biggest weakness. No, it's my biggest weakness. So I feel you. I absolutely feel you. I think I've got some good pieces that I've done over the years, and some I'm particularly happy about, but it is still, to this day, the thing that I struggle with the most. That line was absolutely bloody awful. So I feel you. I absolutely feel you. The Keystone Reforged one actually is proving to be a good exercise for me in colour, and it's going to be a great exercise in lighting because it's going to have so many areas that are actually under cliff faces, and so they're going to be very dark, and we're going to add some pinpricks of light for torches and stuff. So I think it's going to be one of those maps where I really have to flex my colour muscles, you know. Bodhi Gazilla sort of says, I really struggle with scale, keeping the buildings the right size. So, yeah, no, that's 100% a fair observation. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're going to make up what scale we want on this city. This was the original scale that came with the map. So, and like, what is that scale? What is it? Let's get sort of sense here. Like, each one of those is meant to be 100 feet, I think. Each of those little pips there. Let's turn that bad boy off. And so what have we got? We've got a building that's about 60 feet in length there. I think that's okay. We've got a building here that's 100 feet in length. I think that's okay. This little guy's about 50. I think that's about right. This little guy's maybe about 30, maybe 50. So I think these sizes are generally okay, but I want to be careful that I don't start like slipping into smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm like fighting to keep that size. I think a building of about 50 feet, 75 feet in length, larger buildings being about 100, or collection of buildings being about 100, I think it feels about right. Anything less than that, we're getting into outbuilding territory. Adrioid, do you have any big RPG influences for your mapping by chance? Like as in people? Are we talking people or the maps? Yes, but I'm not sure how much of an influence it is today. Yes, I do. I do. So I started drawing maps, like, when I was, like, knee-high to a grasshopper, okay? I was young. I've been drawing maps for decades now. And I was doing it for my own games. So the early influences are actually the old hex maps and things that you'd get. Like, even, remember Bushido? I don't know if anyone knows Bushido out there. It had this black and white hex map of, I think they called it the Nippon area. That was an influence on me. I did hex maps for the longest time. But I don't do that nowadays. My style doesn't do that. But that was certainly my early influence. But then when it came to city maps, I don't think I wasn't copying anyone. I wasn't looking at anyone at their city maps because I didn't like anyone's city maps. So I used to draw my own. And I think it's almost like I skipped that entire influential sort of stage when it came to my city maps in many ways. Because I'm drawing my own, just for my personal use. And then it was about 10 years ago or so that I first shared them online and people lost their shit. And I was like, oh, you like my maps? And so it was kind of like, I don't know, it's like I wasn't even looking to emulate someone for my maps. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. But that said, I love good black ink work, and ink on paper is where I started. I love good black ink work, and so honestly, the artists like Easley and Laubenstein, I actually love their black and white pieces a huge amount, and so I think it was there. If anything, I got my influence from your more conventional artists. Their black and white ink work, it's what influenced my maps, if that makes any sense. Dungeon Tomb says, do you plan to make any land maps again? I will do land maps anytime I am asked. It's whether it's needed or not. But yeah, I'll do overland maps. I got no problem doing overland maps. It's just I don't get asked for them. Well, my current assignments. Now that said, I sat down with someone at Rikadon. Hello, Brian, if you're listening. And we spoke about a setting that he's developing, and he needs a world map and regional maps. So yeah, I'll absolutely do those. And it wasn't that long ago that we got done with the Blue Home one. I wasn't streaming that, but Blue Home was a big map. That would be kind of fun to do on stream. Like doing one of those. It would. I'm gonna have to get myself a little drinky poo in a second. Might have to just do a short break while I do that. Don't like that. Don't like it. Don't like that at all. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Not a fan. Let's approach this area a little bit differently. You know what, maybe we'll actually do a little area coming through here. That would be one way to handle this funny corner. That will be the way to do it. Maybe create a little bit of a park or something back here. That will also soften up the buildings as we start to leave town a little. Dungeon Tomb. So that map I just referred to as Blue Home. I'll bring that up on the screen one day. Okay, I'll have to go off and sort of dig it up on my drive. That was actually a hex-based map without the hexes, and that was like Lord of the Rings style. It ended up being pretty complex piece. Gazilla says, when someone contacts you to make a map, how much information do you expect from them? How about a private walled garden? Yeah, I think we'll do a private walled garden. I think that's kind of where I'm leaving into that. I think we're going to do something. Because I'm trying to do little courtyards here and there. I think this area is going to need its own little courtyard, so we're going to do something. But when someone asks me to do a map, it varies how much I need, because it varies how much or what that person wants. And let me explain that in the broad brushstroke way. You could come to me and say, I want a city, and I don't care what it is, it just needs to be on the coast. Now I'm going to probably say how many people live there, is there a river, and I'm going to start to pull some information. And then, even then, I'm going to probably just draw an outline of the main cartography, or the main sort of geography, and the main sort of layout, and sort of get your general buy-in before we start diving in. And then I'm always going to say, are there any key features about the city? Is there a palace? Is there a fort? Is there a big marketplace? You know, is there a shipyard? To try and get those main features, because they've got to go in, and then we can fill in the rest of it, right? And I'll always ask you, is there a general sort of feel for, is this European, is this like more Eastern feel? What are we looking for in the general architecture? So if you don't tell me, I'll pull that information from you. Sometimes clients go, it doesn't really matter. And while other times clients will go, I have something drawn already, this is my outline. And like the Brian guy I was talking to at Rikadon was like this. He's done his own sketches, he knows exactly what buildings need to be there, the general layout. He just wants me to draw it for him. So I think, you know, it varies, but there's certain key information I must have. What is the general shape? If you don't know, I'm going to draw shapes until you buy into one of them. What is the general layout of the land around? If you don't know, I'm going to start prompting you until I get that information from you, you know? So if you don't know it, I'll kind of extract it from you. So Bodhigazilla says, so say I need a city, it's 1 million plus people, 19 district neighborhoods. Okay, so we're talking like Rome-like. It's the same principle though, right? I know that you're dealing with a metropolis. That metropolis is still going to have some general shape. That metropolis is still going to be inland, or it's going to be on the coast. There's still maybe potentially going to be rivers. Are we talking about there's going to be hills and the likes? Do we need to make sure that we've got different sort of hills involved? Is it squeezed between two cliffs like our Keystone Reforged? These are the things that that still apply whether you're dealing with 3,000 people or 1 million people. That scale really starts to drive almost the size of our buildings and how dense things are going to have to be. So how high is our camera above our map? That's what that starts to drive in many ways. How zoomed in are we, or how zoomed out are we? And as a complete aside, by the way, I'd love to draw Rome one day. I'd love to draw the city of Rome. Like in the height of the imperial period type of deal. That would be a labour of love, though. I know that would be like a year-long project right there. But the Gazilla says, I've been avoiding finding cartographer for my books because it's just too hard to find people. We are out there. We are out there. The trick is like finding someone that is affordable. But at the end of the day, someone that actually you can work with, right? The ugly part of the industry is most people are not reliable. That is an ugly, sad truth to the industry. So finding someone that has the talent, that isn't going to charge you like $1,000. Well, I say $1,000. I charge $1,000 all the time, but you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. Someone that can work within your budget. Someone that you can work with. There's a certain social interaction, right, that is required, and then there is a social contract too, and a business contract that's got to be adhered to. And people struggle with that shit. So many people want to work in the industry, but don't have the moral chops to work in the industry. Like Dungeonton was talking about deadlines and stuff before. For this particular map, actually, I never miss deadlines. I don't think I've ever missed a deadline. And that's because I have the moral compass to sit here every single day and work on my maps. And say no when I've already got a full plate. I only feel like I probably take on too much as it is. But a lot of people just, you know, they're so keen to work on maps or work on anything. You know, it could be writing. It's the same for writing. So many people, they want to write in the industry, but they don't want to actually do the work. They don't want to actually do maps instead of whatever else that they want to do, like play games or whatever. And the ugly truth about the industry is almost everyone is behind schedule, like all of the time. And it's rare if you can find people that are not. It's good, and then that's your network, then you keep them with you. But the Gazella says, yeah, the city I'm writing is a mix between Imperial Rome and Victorian London. Outstanding! That sounds fantastic. Right. There's those different types of schedules, right? There are the personal schedules. Like, I feel like I'm behind schedule on this one right now, but that's my personal schedule. But there's a published schedule behind this one too. The published schedule, that one doesn't shift. That was like when Frog Gods wanted me to, you know, work on Tegel with them, and so I'm working on Tegel for like a year period, and then Bill contacts me and sort of tells me when the actual sort of published deadline was going to be. I took a week off work to get that shit done. I was like, okay, I understand. End of June is it. Gonna have to take a week off work to hit this one. Took a week off work. Hit the deadline. I mean, things slip. You know, there can be problems. Even at the printing stage, there can be problems. But if it's avoidable, you gotta avoid it. You can't introduce problems. I think that's the key. You can't be a problem. You have to be a solution. You have to be continually part of the solution. That's what I endeavour to be. And sometimes that means, you know, you get contacted by someone and they say, hey, I've got a map I want to do. My deadline is like, you know, 2 weeks out. And if you've got a full plate already, managing their expectations and saying, I can't do it. Sometimes managing expectations is refusing work. I refuse work all of the time. Sometimes the big names too. Like I've done a little bit of work for Monte Cook. The last few times that they've contacted me, I haven't been able to do it because their deadlines are just too aggressive for the bandwidth that I've got, or my current existing projects. What am I going to do? Like, stop working on my other projects? Can't do it. So I think that part of it is just having a certain maturity, right? Recognizing what you can and can't do, and being able to let certain things go. Brian is here. Brian, big hugs, my friend. So give me a second, guys. I'm gonna dash away real fast. I'm gonna actually get myself a drink here, and I'm gonna then dash back. I've got some glasses around me. I'm gonna remove. Brian, stick around. I want to know how things are going, because the last time you and I spoke, you were not doing well, my friend. You turned down a map, but then... Well, yeah, but Brian, you're a mature guy, dude. You know what you can and can't do, and you'll refuse work. You're a professional, Brian. You're a professional. You've been in the industry for a while. In fact, Buddy Gazilla, Brian, you should look at his work. So hold on a sec, guys. Let me move this stuff. My buy antioxidant infusion. Alright, so what I miss, guys? What I miss? Dungeon Tomb says you can link to any of your work, Brian. Dan runs a D&D game with other authors such as Brian McKellen. Okay, that's cool. It's always hard, isn't it, to turn down work for, like, you know, big hitting names, and you really, really, really want to do work for them. Like every time, and it's happened a few times now. It probably happens once a year that Monty Cook, not him himself, his team, you know, will contact me and ask if I can do a map for them. But every time, they have a lead of 2 weeks or something like that. And I've got work out into the end of next year. So it's like, I can't, kick that to the curb and drop everything right now. I just can't do it. Let's force ourselves to have a little courtyard in this area right here. So, Brian, maps and everything to one side. How are you? Last we spoke, you were in some medical difficulties, my friend. How are things right now? What was it the Bodhi Godzilla says? How about a walled compound? Let's do a walled compound. Perhaps a secret distillery behind the backyard. A secret distillery? Alright. Brian says, had to turn it down because I'm behind and everything. I don't think that's bad luck, man. That's you being responsible. I know that you've got some medical things going on right now, but honestly, if you took on the job, you'd be even more behind schedule. That shows a level of professional maturity as far as I'm concerned. You have to recognize where, if A, you're already behind. Look at me and Tegel. When I was working on Tegel, I was behind. Did I take on anything else? No, because that would have been irresponsible. So you did what you had to do. It's kind of shit when it happens, sure, because you really want to be working with these people, but you're only gonna, put it this way, man, you're gonna upset them if you take it on and can't do what they need you to do on the timeline that they have. You would actually make things worse. So being able to, like, recognize that and not drag yourself into it, as far as I'm concerned, man, that's actually the mark of a freaking professional right there. It just is. I actually had Wolfgang Bauer from Cobalt Press. I once said no to him, and he was completely understanding, and actually said the words to me. He was like, sometimes being a professional means saying no. He's like, I get it. I totally do. And since then, his words have honestly stuck with me. It's okay to say no. It is perfectly okay. Bodhi Godzilla says, there's actually a bit of a funny story about Malibu, in that when Google Maps first came out, the city of Malibu discovered a man had an entire private golf course hidden next to his house. It had a large fences around it. It looked like it was just overgrown yards of trees until the satellite images came out. That's cool. That's really cool. Brian says, making hex grids from scratch sucks. Numbering all the cells. Hate it so bad. Can't you leverage what you've already done, Brian? Now I want to do a private golf course here, but it just wouldn't fit, you know. Is this like a new hex grid that you're doing? Feel like I need to make the buildings bigger. I'm struggling with that. Gotta fight it. Come on, girl. Pull up the size. Pull up the size. It's okay to get a little bit small in some areas, but get that size up. So the only problem when I'm zoomed in and I'm doing detail, I'm just chatting away, I will start to pull myself into smaller structures. I do it all the time. We're going to do a little courtyard right there. I know, I see that now, Brian. You were answering Dungeon Tomb, who was talking about hex grids. Dungeon, I do read your chat. There's a big chat here. And remember, I was away from the desk. And I like to do a mixture. Come on, man. Step out my balls. I like to do a mixture. I mean, what? It's partly... I've got a draw, too, right? If I'm just doing this... That's boring. And I've seen Twitch streamers do this. We're going to do a courtyard here, I think. And I'm tempted to... No, we might do one here, too. Could there be a private menagerie? I know you were joking, Dungeon. Yeah, we could do whatever we want. In fact, we added a menagerie to a map a couple of maps back. This is some music right there. No, it's good to have you with me, Dungeon. It's good to be online streaming again. I love going to conventions, I really do, but it feels really weird, like, not being at the computer drawing. Gotta be honest with you, Bodie. You talking about that London Rome map? I'm kind of really intrigued, man. That sounds really cool. Spent with like 1 million people too in size. It sounds cool. Has me wondering how that would compare to the likes of my Catalan map that I did for GFD. Because that was probably around 1 million occupants mark. Yeah, that's got a nice feel to it. That's got a nice feel. get a few more districts like this in, and I think we will be in good shape. Brian McWhirter says, how about Jane's ski ball machine? Brian, you wouldn't be Brian if you weren't trying to get a ski ball in here. And I love you, man, for it. I do. But there's no ski ball in this one. No ski ball for you. Come back 1 year. Dungeon Tombs, still 1 hour till midnight here. So you can be on for 3 hours. That's going to be 3 hours more than I'm going to be on. I probably will stream for about another 1 hour. So until about midnight your time, okay? Bodhi Gazilla says, I like the city a lot. It's got 2 massive avenues that cut across the city. The top north-south avenue is Imperial Palace compound. Nice. I was going to say, sounds very French. There's a river that goes along one edge, nothing but wilderness and a single road on the western side of the river. And the neighborhood, there's nothing but a walled-in graveyard. I love drawing graveyards. Brian's crying because I won't have a ski ball machine. Brian, you've got a ski ball on like every map that I've done, including a ski ball factory on Keystone Reforged. You've got a ski ball graveyard on Tegel, for heaven's sake. And they didn't flag it, man. It's on the final map. No one went, huh? It's there. It's in print. There we go. Nice. Bodhi gives it. Bodhi, don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. He has a ski ball on every single one of the maps that I've done recently. If you encourage him, I'll have to end up like drawing one on this map too. And you gotta be careful, man, because then if I ever did any maps for you, Bodhi, I'd actually have to draw a ski ball on there too. City of London, Versailles, ski ball. See how that works? Alright. That's not looking too shabby, right? That's not looking too shabby. That's beginning to take shape. We've got to keep pushing on this bad boy. Got to keep pushing. And I like a nice little balance of little compounds here and there. Little sort of open plazas. So this area's definitely got to have some. So we're going to do one right here. Benches alongside the pool. Awning. Bodhi Gazella, I think you have a fan for life right there in Brian. Let's give this one a little bit of roof detail, just to make it stand out. I'm not going to make this area a courtyard as well, because that would be 2 courtyards next to each other. I feel like that might make the area feel a little bit too loose. Especially because I am going to do one right here. dungeon. I think you said earlier that you were liking the background that we've got going on today. This was a reference picture that I actually picked for colouring Keystone Reforged. But I kind of like it, so I thought it might be interesting and just fun just to have that going in the background today. Something a little bit different. See, I do read your messages. See? Now, if you have just joined the stream and you're like, this woman can't draw a straight line to save her life. That's part of the charm of my maps. It's about the imperfections, sometimes. Alright, so here, let's do... this type of affair, and I think we'll actually have a tree overlapping these buildings, I think. A little bit of a courtyard. Alright, let's zoom out. See, there's little imperfections in the lines, you don't notice them. It's only when because I draw really super zoomed in. Alright, Brian, you draw a skee ball template and I'll drop it in every single map, okay? There's a neighborhood in the city, says Booty Gazilla, that's actually built quite perfectly for having a skee ball machine. Why? How are we talking about skee balls? Oh my god. It's called The Pits. And it's a neighborhood full of refuge pits and Otyuks. Nice. Eating the refuge. Oh, dude. Keystone Reforged, there's my Otyuk area right there. And because Keystone Reforged is like 4 tiers of city, and this is a cliff area, and they're hollowed in, they drop refuge down into the Otyuk pit down right there. So yeah, I feel you. Okay, that's cool. Otyuks, they're useful. Big and little pits, plenty of spots for high point skee ball holes. Brian, I really wanted to drive up to Denton this weekend for at least one day. Rubicon was so close, but so far away. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'll be there again next year, though. Maybe we'll be able to, you know, make that a place where we both can hang out. Even only briefly or something. I had a good time. A good first Rubicon. And I spent so much money on miniatures. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to pull money out of my savings to make up for it. I was like, I'll just put this on a credit card. And then the amount added up, I'm like, I should just pay this shit off with my savings, because it's too much money. But I bought such sexy miniatures, I was so happy. I am actually really jonesing to get into painting. It's like, just painting on a Friday evening is not going to be enough. But for now, mapping is going to take priority. But oh my god, I got some super sexy minis. And I did some painting classes. Bodhi Gazilla, in the world I'm writing, the Otyuks excrete some useful materials. Nice! Depending on the species and what's fed to them. Oh, I love that. So there's an economy in cleaning out the pits. Dude, that's awesome. That's really cool. Brian McWhirter says, is it always on Labor Day weekend? I think so. But don't quote me on that. I think so. I kind of hope so, actually, because it makes flying back and having the day after off, like, really convenient. It's nice. It's a nice thing. It's a little bit like Enfilade. Enfilade is always Memorial Day weekend. And, like, going to there, helping run there, playing games, but then still having the following day off so you can recover is good. Alright, so we've got a courtyard there, we've got a courtyard there. Maybe, do we do another courtyard? Do we do another one? I feel like we need to lighten up this area a little bit. It feels dense. Feels dense. I mean, this is the dense area of the city, but feel like we need to breathe a little bit here. Dungeon Tomb says, yeah, I saw all you post on Facebook and those are nice pictures. Best way for me to be there without being able to be there. Right. By the way, it was a good post about the colour style for maps, scenes and movies. I know, right? So what happened, Dungeon Tomb, is I went to this class. So I can paint miniatures. And I get good results. I can feather, as my nan would say. And I get good results. I'm happy with my painting. But I was like, I'm always open for learning and getting better. And so I go to this class that's about shading. Like smooth shading, right? And now the good news is that I basically shade exactly the same way as this industry professional shades. He just does like 12 layers of shading and I do 5, right? And there's some professionals that do like 3, so I'm already beyond them. This guy was going one stage even further. But the principle was great. I'm down. Okay, so I'm there, I'm shading this miniature, and I'm understanding everything he's saying. And we're doing a green cloak, okay? A green cloak. And he's saying, so for shading, we're going to use blue. And I'm like, what? What? And for deep shading, we're going to use purple. And I'm like, why are we using purple and green? And it confused me. So right there, I was like, I need to go to a colour theory class. So I did, the following day. And the class was pretty good. But it feels like I could do like half a dozen of these classes and then do a whole bunch of practical work and I'd still be learning, you know? So I went to a colour theory class. And she started talking about not just the colour circle and everything, I know about that, but using sections of a colour circle and keeping a piece within those, I'm going to call them colours, those shoes, right? And then that movie thing came out where they're like, these are the colour palettes of these movies. This is how they have the feeling that they're trying to do. And it's exactly the same principle. Take a section of the colour wheel, paint within that. And I'm going to do that. I am going to do that. I'm going to do that actually on do what I'm painting right now. That's all. He's basically a skull demon and shit. And I'm going to use that principle to create this cold piece of spiritual like colours. You know, I'm going to paint within this section of the colour wheel. So yeah, I was kind of jazzed about it. I'm still not entirely sure why blue and purple are shading for green. But I am all about learning. That looks like Pac-Man. And I think when I get my little setup that I want for my Whiskey and Paint Fridays and I'm streaming my painting, I think we'll actually review some of the miniatures that we picked up here from Rikadon. My favourite ones are actually from scale 75. They're 75mm miniatures. So they're going to be more sort of showpieces. That's kind of like what I really like painting nowadays. There's a Laurel and Hardy set that you can actually get. And they look great if done in monochrome. But I didn't pick up those. My favourite piece I actually picked up was Princess Monaco. Is that the name of the piece? Is that the name of the piece? Something very unlike what I would normally paint. This is the one. Grace of Monaco. You probably won't be able to see it actually properly. We'll do it proper in a stream. But Grace of Monaco. An absolutely beautiful piece. Alright, let's zoom around. Dungeon Tomb says, I think it was the light effect in the green colour, but been ages since I painted miniatures. Yeah, it's definitely a way that the colours combine. It definitely is. And that's what I want to get better at, right? That goes back to the colour combinations. It's like, it's not going to hurt me, even in my cartography, to be much stronger on colour theory. Have I ever painted any of the miniatures from Kingdom Death? No. And the miniatures from Kingdom Death look freaking awesome. I have not. But that's exactly the type of thing I would love to paint. In fact, I have a... Yes. A small segue. I have a Black 3.0 as a paint. It's meant to be one of it's one of those paints that just absorb all light. So it's like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And I kind of want an excuse to put it on a miniature at some point. So it just looks like nothing. It just looks like a hole. You know, that'd be so awesome. But no, I have not painted any Kingdom Death. But honestly, those miniatures look so fantastic. That's exactly the type of thing I get excited about. I love miniatures, okay? I have an unhealthy miniature obsession. I have a lot of miniatures. And I'm actually going to be doing a video on it here shortly, because a good friend, Victor Cena, challenged me to post about my hobbies. And I do a video of it, and then you nominate someone. So I'm going to be doing this here shortly, because he nominated me, so I'm going to have to talk about my hobbies. And my miniatures is going to be something that I actually do a video about. So I have a lot of miniatures. But I don't like painting all of them. You know, some of them are just like, okay, whatever. I like looking at it. I don't have that, like, passion to paint the sucker. And then the some, I see it, and I want to paint it. I just want to paint it. Those are the best ones. Those are the ones that I just like. I just love. So, in fact, actually, one I picked up from Rikadon was Sherlock Holmes and Watson in front of a fireplace. It is going to be an incredible diorama. I am so looking forward to painting it. I saw them, I'm like, I want to paint that. I want to paint that. And anything that makes me want to pick up a brush and start painting, it's a winner. It's a winner. Bodhi Gazilla says, I was very much into Warhammer 40k when I was younger. I'm surprised you have any money then, sir, because 40k will rob you of everything. You have way too many of them. Enjoyed painting them so much. It was sort of a zen. It is a zen feeling. It absolutely is a zen feeling. I love sitting down painting for a few hours. It's fantastic. Dungeon Tomb. So you can make a stream of drawing and you can win since you love drawing. And that is... Are you happy also? Yes. So it will be a win-win-win, right? We will do a stream of me painting. We will. I did one once early on when I first started streaming. I actually did a whiskey and paint on a Friday night. And it was great. I mean, it was fine. But I don't really have the camera set up for it. I have a camera here. I have a camera here. Now, this camera is on like a bendy arm and everything. That's great. But this is where I do my mapping. It's not a painting station, you know? So I'm either unplugging all of this shit or I'm trying to set up a paint station here. It's not really ideal. We need a, like, you know, you've got a miniature here, and there's a camera here. So when I'm doing this, you can see what I'm doing. And so one thing I was thinking about was actually putting like a camera on my head and stuff, which is totally viable. And I think that, and I've seen like that's one way of going about it. But I saw a better setup. I saw a better setup this last weekend. That is what I'm gonna do. And all I need to do is actually go off and buy the actual the hardware, and we're gonna get into it. It's gonna be fun. Right. Let's do this last little piece here too. Okay. You gave away all your miniatures? So when I left England, I had this... Well, you have a whole bunch of stuff, right? You have this stuff from life. I gave away a lot of stuff. But I didn't give away any of my game stuff, and I didn't give away my miniatures, and I'm so glad. Now, I couldn't ship them over to America when I first moved here, right? So I just put them into storage with my mum and dad. And I'm so glad I did that, because it was like 10 years later. I finally got settled. I got my own house. I know this is a place where I'm going to live for a while. Now I made arrangements to ship everything across. And I'm so glad I did that and I didn't give my stuff away. So glad. Because now I have all the miniatures that I've had ever since I've been collecting them, ever since I was like this tall. I have the miniatures were the first miniatures I ever bought back in like 83, 84. And some of them are worth something now, you know? But I don't do it for that. I just like having them. You know, this is bugging me, so I'm actually going to just indulge me for a second. I gotta get rid of this. This is like pissing me off. Boded Gazilla, I'm going back to maps. My dream for my city is to have something like the 1890 Bacon Traveller's pocket map of London. Bingo. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking about. That'd be beautiful. Boded Gazilla gave his stuff to his cousins. They were getting into games at that point, so I felt happy they were getting something out of it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's exactly what you do with them if you're going to get rid of them. Mine are going to get buried with me, though. I'm just saying. Mine are going to the grave with me, which probably piss off Jack, because he's sitting there thinking, well, what about me? That's better. That's better. I'm going to get cremated with my miniatures. It is going to be me plus 2,000 pounds of lead and a whole lot of paint fumes. And it is going to be an urn that is the size of this desk and it weighs half a ton. Dungeon Tomb. I have one of the very rare big numbered dragon liches that only made 6,000 of them. Nice! You got 848. Very cool. Very cool. Boded Gazilla's got a shovel. Yep, I'm having her minutes. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Actually, I got nothing. Yes, I wouldn't even haunt you. You know, I'd go, yeah, well, respect. Yeah, I did the same. Dungeon Tomb. I've still got my Path Forgotten Realms heroes. Yeah, right on. No, keep them, dude. Keep them. So I was playing in the game on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. It was Dragonlance game, and the DM had the original Dragonlance minis, right? And he was talking about how hard they are to get, and how much he was paying for them. And like, it's not like you're gonna be like, you know, mega rich from one mini or anything like that. But you know, he was talking like $60, $80 a mini. So it's like, clearly they have a level of value and collector's interest. So yeah, keep that shit. I know you're not talking about Dragonlance, but you're in the same realm of collector interest. So, like, Warhammer and stuff has never really been my thing. Warhammer 40k was never my thing. But I collected a lot of the miniatures because I liked them. And so I got a lot of, like, the Warhammer 40k from the 80s and the 90s. And I started seeing some of them, like, coming up online, like, with pretty significant price tags. I'm like, holy balls, I have them. I have that one. I have that one. So, yeah, I'm keeping all my freaking minis. I kind of want to draw this little neighborhood. I kind of want to draw this neighborhood, and that might be a good spot to end it for the day right there. Because then what have we got? We got, basically, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. Let's call it 5 neighborhoods to draw. And then we've got to do like this halfling area down here. And of course we've got to do these. These are the things that we're doing this week. Alright, this is the subject matter for this week. Then of course we've got all of this outside shit to do. So let's get into this little guy right here. Brian says, perhaps have the minis melted down and cast into an urn. A big box. A box with me in it. It is the coffin. My minis are the coffin. Zombie. Still find myself poking around in my box of minis. Combination of painted, not painted from the late 80s to early 90s. I bet you have some gems in there, Zombie. I'll put money on it. Bodhi says, kind of how I feel about Legos. That's a fair point. I've never been a Lego person. You know, I don't want to say it's a boy-girl thing, but I just never have. But I can appreciate that. I don't own any. Even found, Zombie says, even found a few things I might be able to incorporate in a few projects that I have ahead sometime in the future. Very cool. Do you have, Zombie, off the top of your head, the type of things that you have? Like, what do you got going on? Like, mini-wise. What are your favourite pieces? So, funny story about miniatures. Back in the day, I've always been a miniature collector, okay? If I collect anything, it's miniatures. You know, I say that because I've always said I'm not a collector of anything, but the truth is I kind of am. Miniatures. So back in England, Ralph Arthur, and I think Ralph Arthur's American, right? Ralph Arthur was doing this line of dragons in boxes. You might remember them, right? You know, red dragon, green dragon, silver dragon. And each one is boxed. And if you collect the boxes, every single one's got little insert. If you collect all of the set, you got something. It's like you got a free dragon or something like that. So I collected all of the dragons. Every single box set that they had, I got them all. I collected all of the little inserts to prove it, and I contacted him. And they were like, oh, yeah, but not England. This is just American. I didn't say that anywhere on the paperwork or anything like that. Like, in this day of litigation, they'd probably get in trouble for that shit. But I'm sitting there holding like 20 fucking coupons from all of the shit I've been collecting. Huge expense. Yeah, no, not you. Not England. You don't get anything. And I was always really sad about that. I feel like I got duped, you know? Bodhi says, it's a thing I was introduced to when I was young, and my son has gotten super into it. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. Zombie is digging up his price collection. And Dungeon Tomb says, yeah, the ones they made for Dragonlance. I still actually have all of the Walpartha dragons that I bought from the day. I actually have some duplicates of the ones that I bought back in the day. I still wish I could go back in time now and say, what do you mean it doesn't apply to England? Paperwork says it doesn't apply to England. Give me my free dragon. I would love to meet someone that worked there back in the day and talk to them about that story. Alright, I wanted to create some like nice homes alongside the river edge right there. And as we go out of the city, you can see we've got these up there. We'll actually start getting into big villas. Bodhi Gazilla says, ooh, some manners. What, in the water edge here? Yeah, we're definitely going to get into manners, especially as we get outside of the city. We're going to start getting into some orchards, and we're going to get into some manors, some villas. It's exactly what we're going to start doing. And what I'm doing right now is I'm creating like the heart of the city, so it's going to be a little denser. And obviously we've got our warehouses and shit along the water's edge there. But they're basically these dense little neighborhoods, and then we're going to start to thin out as we start to leave the city, because there's no walls sort of bounding us here. And as we start getting into the countryside, we're going to start getting into some villa areas with like surrounding orchards and things like that. But this is known for its orchard, this place, so there's going to be a lot of that in the surrounding area. Now I'm stressing myself out with the deadline that we've got, because I feel like there's a little bit of work to be done on this one. We can do it. Dungeon says, like the one with humor on the Silver Dragon. Right, actually, I own it. So that wasn't a collection I'm talking about, but I do own those. It does not look like a freaking ski ball. Does it? No. If you say ski ball, ski ball, ski ball 3 times into a mirror, you summon Brian McWhirter. That's the thing. Alright, so what do we want to do with this little district here? What am I feeling with this district? I think we can continue what we're doing. I think we'll have this little back alley, this little road here. Let's create that road, and then we'll do some little gardens and things. So right here, there's slightly nicer buildings, right? Slightly nicer homes. Let's do a walled compound right here. Little outbuilding. Alright, let's keep coming through. I don't like the shape of that. We're gonna come back to that one. Alright, we'll come around a corner. You know what? Let's do a little fountain thing there. And what am I going to do with this? Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to... For you, I think the way we're going to soften up these corners is we're going to put a tower here. There we go. There we go. Alright, let's zoom out. It's like when you way zoomed in like that, it's always kind of like when you zoom back out again, you go, oh, that's actually kind of tiny. But yeah, okay, something like that. Sit safe, otherwise you can see a grown woman cry. Brian, I hate to break it to you, but I said ski ball, ski ball, ski ball, and I wasn't in front of a mirror and you appeared. So it is true. You literally appeared just like magic. Alright. Let's do a little bit more. Let's just do a little bit more. Let's come up the side here. Let's do a nice... Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a pretty bad line. That is a pretty terrible line. There we go. My Photoshop is beginning to chug a little bit. That tells me that I've been drawing... Whoa. That I've been drawing long enough for it to actually start to have a little bit of memory leak or something. Alright. Oh, how are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I think. Let's do this a little almost Roman villa style. Now this is mainly going to come out during colouring. Yeah, my Photoshop is beginning to choke here. Here, these are going to be actually little courtyards, right? Likewise here. This is a family one. Ooh, little bit of a iffy line. There we go. Little family area right here. The colouring will make this pop off the map. I think we need to add some tiles here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Little villa going towards the outside. Zombie Dance Team Leader sent me a link, and I'm gonna click on it. No, little fella. Oh, come on then. Come on. Alright, this is what Zombie just sent. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's upside down, Zombie. What are we looking at? What's in here? We got a couple of beds, few beds. What is this? Is this a set? What is this? Yeah, tell us what that is. Don't bite me. I just let you automate me. It's not a box of shit. A storage box with compartmentalized. But what's in there? What was the main minis in there? Like, what would the manufacturer, you know? I couldn't tell from the pic. Alright, I'm going to draw a few more buildings, and then we're going to call it. And then we are going to be back tomorrow night. I feel Photoshop is beginning to choke on me, so this is good timing to come towards the end of the stream. Yeah, let's do it this way. Alright, guys. Alright. Alright, let's zoom in. Let's see where we're at with this thing. I'm going to turn off my pencil layer just for a moment. So this is about the size of the final print, right? There we go. I don't know what you're doing, but you can go away. Alright, so this is about the size of the final print here. So, as a reminder, we're redrawing this map. This map is mostly going to be orchards and farms. There's a little halfling community which we're going to draw. And then we've got this fairly large town. It's only got about 3,000 people in it, but it's the largest in the region. And that's what we're drawing here. Now, it is going to then... Let's actually just get rid of all of that for a moment. We're going to... We're basically going to filter out the city in these directions, okay? There's no hard wall containing this city. So it's going to be more peter out, but in this general shape that you see here. And then we're going to actually, just like these guys here, we're going to add some little villas. Right, now there is like the King Mansion here, and there is like a temple down here, and there is this hippodrome that we need to draw here. But otherwise, it's going to be key manors about the place, basically farms, okay? And here, we're talking about adding some kind of industry, because I think that add a nice little sort of purpose to this sort of side of the map right here. And then there's like a halfling community, which we're going to draw here, but I'm going to kind of extend it out a little bit, more like so. So this is kind of where we're going with this. We're back into it again tomorrow night, okay? I'm going to stream every night this week, and we're starting tomorrow night, and we're going to do another 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours tomorrow of this, okay? So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing, and we're redrawing this one right here, basically. Oh, look at that, yeah, not too far off with my hippodrome and everything else. Well remembered, Faden. Well remembered, Bob. Oh, and there's this little place right here. And maybe even tomorrow, maybe we'll even draw these important areas tomorrow. That'd be kind of fun, right? Like get this, and this, and this, and this drawn. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe we'll do that. And then of course we can start to get our little roads and things up into these areas. One of the big time-consuming things of this is actually going to be these farms. And I want to actually add more. This is meant to be a big, huge farming thing, and all I really see is this area up here with farms. I want to add a lot more. I want to start bringing them out over this direction as well, and up here even, you know. We'll get some forestry in around here. Not too thick, but we will get some like little clusters of trees in these sort of areas here. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be back on it tomorrow night. Let's turn that off. It's going to be a fight, but this is a priority for the next 2 weeks. This is the main one, and I'd love to have it really done in about a week. Alright, so that's our target, is really have this drawn black and white in a week, which gives us a week for colouring. That's my objective. Zombie, back to the miniatures, some Valpartha, a bit of variety. Flashing when he wears bad. Yeah, flashing could be really bad on those, right? Alright, so everyone, that's it for today. That's what I'm going to call it. It's great to be back into the helm. It's great to actually have a Wacom pen in my hand again. It's great to actually be drawing again. I missed it and it's only been a week. So, until tomorrow, okay? 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 Eastern Standard Time. I might even start a little bit earlier tomorrow, okay? So, look for it tomorrow. Tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. It's mapping, okay? Come join me. Let's hang out. Let's see how much of this we can get busted out, okay? Love you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, okay? Love you all.